Welcome to the August Money Moment. We wish that we could be in person with you this year, but as we mentioned last month, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. However, we have some great topics that we want to talk about in light of everything that's going on. We've had a lot of people ask us about spending plans, cash flow. Cash is king right now, right? We have some great resources about developing a spending plan. I'm going to take a little moment to do some self-promotion and mention my book, Uncork Your Finances. The very first chapter focuses specifically on developing a spending plan. If you want a verbal resource, I happen to record a podcast. It's episode 125 of Wine and Dime on how to create a spending plan. We'd love to have you listen to that as a great resource. You also might be interested in some of the information around the CARES Act that was passed earlier this year. There's some very interesting provisions around retirement plan distributions and rules that are not what the normal rules are around retirement plans. And if you are interested, you can hop on over to episode 124 of Wine and Dime and listen to that. It digs into the different types of retirement plans and the options and the CARES Act and how that all plays into those rule changes that are temporarily in place. And don't forget to look for student loan information. If you're really wanting to dig into a bunch of information on student loans, we have a great blog written by our CFP and financial planner, Becky Eason. That is under our blog section, blog and podcast section, under an area called Student Loan Tips. There's lots of information about student loans and all of the different things that are available under the CARES Act that kind of go with that. And now I would like to introduce you to Carrie Bean, also a CFP on our team, and she's going to talk to you about saving.
Yes, hello. So a lot of times when we think about spending plans, we just think about what bills do we have this month, what's coming up. And what we want to also encourage you to do is think about also creating a savings plan and incorporate it in your spending plan. And when I say savings plan, I just mean to think about what expenses you have coming up in, say, the next 6 months or maybe year or 2 years. And what that'll allow you to do is think, okay, well, maybe I have to buy tires, and how much is that going to cost? And then also things like Christmas. It's already the end of July as we're recording this, and Christmas will be right around the corner. So if that's a big expense for you, I want to encourage you to think about maybe starting to set aside money for that. And then think about some fun stuff like vacation and things like that that maybe you want to do next year. So as you begin to think about it, we really want to encourage you to do that, because we don't want you to use perhaps a credit card that has high interest and then not be able to pay it off. So start thinking about those things in advance. And then when you have your savings plan, have it with you when you sit down to create your spending plan so that you can incorporate the two together. And we really want to encourage you to do that. That way, your short and long-term goals get aligned with how you're spending your money every day. So happy savings.
Happy saving, and it's so critical to make sure that that emergency fund is in place, right?
Yes,
that's a big part
definitely.
of the savings plan. Yeah. As we've learned this year, unexpected things that we could never imagine happen. And
yes,
it's so critical that we have a backup plan for things that we don't even know are going to happen.
Yeah, I always like to remind people in the summertime about air conditioning and think about things like that, like as your emergency fund. That's something that you would want to have set aside for if something happens. And I like to remind people that that's an emergency, and things like Christmas and things like that aren't really emergencies because they know they're coming up. So try to plan ahead as much as you can.
Thank you very much, Carrie, for that great advice. And we will provide you with actually a spending plan worksheet that you can use to help you develop your own spending plan, as well as all the resources that we've mentioned. Carrie also, I want to put a plug in for her. She writes a blog once a month. We love the blog that she puts together. The blog, if you are interested, we'll put it in the notes here, but it's called Strong Roots. And you can follow Carrie by subscribing to that newsletter if you're interested. And Carrie does talk a lot about planning and saving. So thank you very much, Carrie. And we hope you've enjoyed this money moment and that you enjoy the rest of the money moments coming up for the rest of this year. Thank you so much.